Hey guys, I'm Andrei, a certified translator and a real estate concierge, and today we're talking about rent. Rent in Minsk and in Belarus generally has become a bit trickier because Airbnb and Booking.com are gone. It's not the end of the world, but life is becoming a little bit more complicated now. Now that we're not placing very high hopes for tourism season anymore, but let's see how one may go about solving this problem. Thank you for staying with the channel. Thank you for your help and assistance to the donation platform. Links are down below under this video. As you know, the ongoing war that broke out more than a month ago next door is not helping the local incomes. Sanctions are being placed globally onto Russia and Belarus, as many of you know, and many of you are reasonable people, by the way. You know that sanctions in the first line aren't helping the regular people, taxpayers, people on the street, that the guys you know get to meet on a tourist visit somewhere. So landlords are one of the guys who are crying tears as big as October cabbages. The rentals, in light of the above mentioned issues, are becoming more complicated for the landlords because they're losing their audience, paying audience, and for the tenants because, well, for the tenants it's a bit easier, better, because offers are getting cheaper, of course. But for the tenants it's trickier because their salaries, their income is cut. So we only get a very small niche of people who are actually going to rent this season. And let's see how they can go about finding the good rentals. Let's talk about more realistic things like short-term rents. Normally you come here for no longer than 30 days if you're a tourist and if you're on a short-term visa. So that's called short-term rent, and that's what normally most of the landlords are ready for. They're often afraid of dealing with foreigners because that's tedious registration process and all that stuff, but it's not really that complicated. That's just something both of you have to keep in mind. For short-term rentals, obviously Booking.com and Airbnb are not helping anymore because they're not here anymore. A recent traveler of mine, US citizen, and by the way, no harm comes to US citizens if they travel here, he booked a place on Expedia, and as it normally happens in this business, the address of the place was changed on the last minute as he was in the cab from the airport. These guys normally change addresses. These guys normally say, sorry, the flat you booked extended on the last minute, so we can put you into this place. And normally the replacement place is just adequately all right and is on the same competitive level. So one and even two room places in Minsk now are about $30 to $40 a night. It could be an uptown area like this one, Vostok metro station. It could be Victory Square, or closer to Lenin Square and October Square, the very city center with Stalin apartments. And that's how the rates are. Obviously there are luxury places with luxury rates, but I guess they are not super competitive these days, depending on what people want, of course. Between 1st and 10th of May, Russians are going to be in town, so whatever Russians can't afford Europe anymore will be here, and the prices will be up, as they naturally are. Not necessarily to landlords' benefit, though. If you are staying short-term, I could look up for a flat for you on a special order. It's a service, of course, as a concierge. I have a few landlords groups I'm dealing with, and these groups in Telegram and such like, they don't really allow guys who don't own flats. So I'm asking through friends about existing offers for a specific span of time. And in this area, we found a one-bedroom for an Italian gentleman. He's enjoying it for the whole month. 550 euro, by the way, and price can be negotiated, by the way. So that's sort of an average figure you can expect for a month, 500-700 euro, because short-term guys are normally making it a bit more expensive, and if you're renting long-term, it could be as cheap as, say, $400 a month, but that's for 12 months. That's an arrangement for the whole year. So with a bit of effort invested into the search, short-term rental is not much of a problem. I could find one for you. You could swipe the Google Maps and see apartments listed. They have contacts displayed publicly on the Google Maps, so you can hook up with every provider directly. They will always have all sorts of messengers, Viber, Telegram and stuff, and arrange a booking and a price for it for your dates. And you can also try alternative resources like Expedia. The big guys are gone, but a lot of small guys may be listing offers which are available. An online payment may not go through because of the banking sanctions, that's obvious, but it's easier to pay on site for what you see on site. For long-term rent, I'll place some website links down below. There is a dedicated video to searching long-term rentals, and the gentleman let's say, a gentleman that I helped with a flat here got a 3-room option for $700 per month in December, as I remember. That was a pretty tedious search, but right now I guess he can negotiate a drop to 600. Anyway, he wants to move to the center and he'll look for himself, or will ask me for assistance if needed. I'm not sure if you can hear this humming in the background, but that's bikers, so be careful when you're renting a flat overlooking the main street or one of the larger streets. It may be a bit problematic for your nighttime sleep. For long-term stay, it's a bit more demanding effort-wise. You'd have to search better because not half, but a considerable share of ads for long-term rent are fake. There are a couple of agencies in Minsk that are not very fair with the clients, and they're saying, oh, please hire our manager, we'll find you the best option that you could dream of, which is not fair because you're looking yourself and you're losing time for their fake ads, and that's unfair. The long-term ads are normally for 12 months. That's normally for how long your residency can be for 1 year. A lot of owners, landlords left the country and now they can rent out the places where they lived or some other places that they had, and cheaper perhaps because there's no demand. It's kind of easier to find a bargain, but I'm still convinced that you have to search in a very dedicated way. You browse in the morning, you view in the evening, and you'll hit a deal within a couple of days. Of course, if you are too demanding and if there's no run of luck, which is also a requirement in this business, you may search for a whole week in Minsk. But if you're alone, or if it's 2 of you, 1 or 2 bedroom, say $500 a month in the city center is not a problem. The German client I told you about in the previous clips has rented out his flats, $550 US a month plus utilities, which is really a good bargain. And obviously the tenants are not locals. Dealing with non-local tenants is something you're not going to be interested for a long while. I guess I'll keep it for a separate story. Point with a long-term rental is you pay 2 months payments in advance. One is the deposit and one is the last month deposit. Normally, last month you want to cancel, you say on the 1st that you cancel on the 30th. This last month's deposit is used, they check if there was any damage, and that's it. End of the deal, you shake hands and say goodbye to each other. The official rental contract has to be undone at the utility company, same as you register it first. Takes 3 days to register, but 1 day to cancel. To conclude, I'd like to say that it's not really a big deal to find an apartment here in Minsk, especially now that the warm season is coming. If you speak a couple of words in Russian, if you know the local ways, and the major wisdom I can share here with you is you never ask, you never get. You may get yourself a pretty good bargain pretty swiftly. And my assistance may or may not be required at the final stage to translate at the utility company, or not even required at all. Obviously, there were better times for travel. Thank you very much for watching the video. After every cloud there's a silver shining, or whatever they say. Travel responsibly, shop wisely, and I hope to see you in Minsk someday. Cheers!